Good afternoon. Welcome to the tea table. I am so happy you've joined me today. We're nearing the end of August, and I thought, what kind of music do we listen to today? And I thought, opera. Why not the best? So we're going to have Pavarotti, Joan Sutherland, and it's La Traviata. And we're going to just enjoy our cup of tea together and this beautiful sunshine. And our weather changed a little bit. I can feel just the touch. In the morning it's quite cold now and autumn is on its way, but let's enjoy summer. And before I start, if you haven't gotten your tea, please pause and get your tea, and I will be waiting for you. The wind is blowing my hair around it. So, okay, I want to show you what I have on the tea table. So beautiful. And these, of course, are gorgeous dahlias. And this yellow one, I don't know if you can see the size of it. They're so beautiful. And they were a gift. My son brought them to me, and one of his clients gave them to him for his mother. Now, wasn't that nice? Because I love dahlias, and I really should plant some. I have never attempted that, but they have to be just the grandest, and they are so hardy. I've had them now in the vase for almost a week, and they still look fabulous. So I'm wearing my pink hat today. I thought I've got to wear my summer. Try to wear as much of it as I can, because soon we'll have September and October. And this hat is the hat that I wore several years ago on the very first Tea Talk. And this hat actually inspired my Tea Talks. And it was a gift from my other son, Nathaniel. He lived at that time in Arizona, and he wanted to send me a birthday gift. And it was a big surprise, and this came in the mail. And I thought, oh my, that is such a grand hat. I have to do something special with that. And so I started doing the Tea Talks, and it was during the COVID lockdown, remember? Yes. Now, opera has so much introduction, and I'm going to have to probably tone it down a little bit. Isn't opera over the top? Saturday morning on Classical King and many of the classical stations, they play opera live from the Met in New York. And it's pretty spectacular, and you can educate yourself through listening, because there's nothing quite like opera to inspire. Brilliant. And the voices and the choruses. And of course, if you can attend one in person, all the better. Well, I'm going to show you. I brought one of my favorite little summer purses with me. I've had this purse for a long time, and I save it for when I wear this scarf. And it's just a spectacular color. And this reminds me of my other son, Daniel, who's a painter. Well, he does a lot of things. He's a businessman, but he's a graphic artist, and these are his colors. He paints so French, and he has so much color. He always has this blue and yellow and pink, and oh my. So I'm thinking about all my sons today, then I brought along, well, I'll show you that in a minute. Let's pour out. You know, I'm trying to get in my little camera here this hat, these dahlias, and this scarf. And I thought, you know, of all my summer scarves, and I have quite a collection over the years, I just keep them. They last forever, but this is my favorite, and it's hard to get it all on the tea talk, but I'll try to stand up here. I just think the colors, whoops, are so fabulous. And I'll just kind of show you it has all the blues and the pinks, and I just wear it over white, and then I have some bead necklaces that go with it. Just kind of anything goes with this scarf. It's got every color, and it reminds me of the islands, like what I would imagine they would wear, well, of course in Hawaii, but Jamaica and that area of the world. So I am going to now, I have put a tea cozy on because this tea was taking me quite a while to get ready for. And I don't know if I would stand that here for a little bit. It's a nice little tea cozy, and I love its colors. And I have a lovely German tea set today to show you. And it says Germany. It doesn't say West Germany or East Germany. And so I am assuming this is either, well, I think it's before the wall. Because this is really fragile, beautiful old china, and I want to show it to you. So beautiful. And it has roses, and then in the cup, and it has the pinks, the yellows, the blue, and the green. Just combination. And the pot is so lovely. Look at this pot. It just goes around so nice. And so I am going to pour out, if I can fit in the camera here. When I put these dahlias in and my hat, it takes up almost the whole way. So I'm going to put this down. I fell against my car with my shoulder. It's doing better, but it's hard for me to pick up a heavy teapot right now with my right arm, so I'm going to you're going to have to bear with me. So now I'm going to pour out. This is so lovely in the design. See the design of the little creamer? And then I don't use sugar, so I don't put sugar on the tea. But look at all the inside. It's all colored, all the border and the gold. It has the fleur-de-lis on it. And it's hard to show these things on the camera. I hope you see them. Should we try our tea? I almost should have the magenta cup from last week, shouldn't I, with my hat? Well, you know, magenta is the color, remember, of 2023. And when you are looking for things, it's called having eyes to see. When you are looking for something, you see it everywhere. And now I just, like, this hat is magenta, this scarf is magenta, these beads, these are really different. And they just kind of hang, and then I had some green beads. I think it's nice to combine the colors together. So I put the green with the pink, with the scarf, over the white. It's a lot. I know it's over the top, but you know what? We need to bring color and life into our world. And it's summer, and I want to wear these things while I can, because I love fall too, and once autumn comes, I want to wear the tweed and the plaid and all of that. Now, I need to turn this down a touch. This is the problem with playing an opera. It really goes up and down, doesn't it? Yes. But this is the opera that is so beautiful, and I actually got to see this opera in person once in Vienna with my daughter, and I think I've told you that story. It was the hottest day of the year. It was like 110, and there was no air conditioning. I was up in the third balcony in a loge seat, and oh my, I thought I was gonna faint. Finally, I stood up, and there are all these men. The men go to the opera. I mean, I'm telling you, these are young men and middle-aged men, and they love the opera, and they will pay even to stand. So there was a whole group of them standing behind me, breathing down, and I was so hot, I thought, I am going to faint. So I stood up, I said, you can have my chair. And he goes, oh, the earth, and hit his heart. He was speaking German. I had given him the gift of his life, and I got out with my life and went and got water, and I thought, I love opera, but I've got to have a break. This was so intense, and we had just arrived off the plane, one of those situations, halfway jet lagged. But the Vienna Philharmonic was playing. They're incredible. And the Vienna Opera was singing, and I still enjoyed it immensely. I took it home with me in my heart. And that's what we do when we go to something beautiful like that. We are enriching our lives, and then we can enrich others. And oh yes, I almost forgot the little treat. Well, these are okay. I actually got these in mind for a little back to school tea talk, which we will have. But these are the little schoolboy chocolate go back to school cookies. However, these don't have a schoolboy. These have a German couple dancing and then a German man playing the cello. Now, isn't that unusual? And two of my sons played cello. So we're just going to call this end of summer. And then when we do back to school, and you may have one, they're very nice. They're made in Switzerland. They're a plain little biscuit with dark chocolate with the mold. Now what I did is they're in a little silver dish, but I had an extra saucer of this, so I just put them right on the beautiful saucer of the china, because a lot of times you'll have stray pieces of china. Maybe the cup broke. Well, keep the saucer. You can use it for something else at the table, or even you can mix and match your china. I'm putting this back because when I had it, I'll show you this way, but I can't see you very good. So this hat is quite an experience to wear. So I think I'll wear it like that. Well, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about today. It just came to my heart so strong. We talk about this a lot on the tea table, but I'm telling you, it is the most important thing, I think, in all the world. And that is our speech, what we say to each other, to ourselves, and to God. And God is so wonderful. He looks at our heart. He understands our motives. He understands us like no one else. So we can really relax in that conversation. We can be honest and share our hearts, but still in a loving, honest, respectful manner. But when we speak to each other, we are literally either creating life or death. And that is what the Bible says. The power of life and death is in the tongue. Now that sounds very big, but it is big. And I know people that are beautiful people, but they have a tendency to go negative. It doesn't take much. They can see everything wrong with the world. Well, you know, that's the easy way out. What we want to do is, of course, we are aware of our circumstances or people around us or people that do things, but we want to see the best, don't we? Yes. And we want to cut others slack. Now, we can't do that unless we have mercy in our heart. Well, how do we get mercy in our heart? I will tell you a secret, and I know it's true. I've counseled a lot of people over the years. My husband is a psychologist, and I have assisted him in many situations. And we have both concluded that 98% of all problems come from people that can't forgive. They're hanging on to bitterness, anger, frustration, and it's poison, and they won't let it go. And they can't seem to let it go. Well, there are steps to letting it go. There are keys to being free and happy and light. Number one, whatever it is in our life that troubles us, that we feel that we maybe haven't come up to the mark, because that's what really drives it, I have discovered. People feel really bad about themselves. And when they feel bad about themselves, that comes out in the way they relate to others. They're either jealous, covetous, or they'll put people down to make themselves look better, but it really makes everyone look worse. And so how do we help people that are so hard on themselves lighten up? I'll tell you 3 keys. Now, it's going to sound so simple, but it will work. Yes, it will. Number 1, we have to be honest with ourselves and with God. And whatever is bothering us, we talk to Him about. And if we have done something wrong, we ask God to forgive us. Now, the next step is the big one. We have to sit down and receive the forgiveness. Now that's hard for a lot of people because they want to make it happen themselves. No, we got to receive forgiveness from God, and then this is the biggest step of all. Then we forgive ourselves. We allow ourselves to be forgiven by ourselves. Now that is the big step, because after that, we can forgive others. And without those first steps, it's like telling a machine, forgive people. But I can't forgive people, but people say they can't. And that means something blocks. Generally what's blocking is their own hurt, bitterness, anger, and then they're really often mad at God, and then they're mad at themselves, and then they are mad at others, and they live a life of harshness. Hardcore people, you can take this to the bank, are living with either they're hard on themselves or someone in their life has been hard on them. But all of this can be solved. It really can. I have helped a lot of people find complete freedom and complete joy. I'm telling you, it's true. And I thought I need to share this today because I just felt there's somebody on the Tea Talk that we all need this message. We are so powerful as people. When we go out in the world, we are an influence. When we smile at somebody, it makes them feel, oh, I'm all right. But if you scowl or look the other way, don't relate, people just go back further into their shell. We have a lot of power just walking through the world, going to the bank, going to the post office, going to the grocery store, going shopping, going out to eat, and with our families too. Give good words. When somebody achieves a level of success, even if it's very small in your eyes, say, good job, that's fantastic, you've done it, that's great. And they just lighten up. People lighten up. And you know, there are so many young people now that seem to not be working, that when I see the young people working, I tell them, I say, you are doing a great job. And they look so shocked. I am? I said, yes, you're out here, you're making it happen, you're not letting the grass grow under your feet, you're young, you're strong, you're doing it. Good job. And they go, wow. And it opens a door. And then maybe you can share more with them. Because there's a lot of pain out there. People need love. And they need to be able to know God's love. And then to love themselves. Because remember, you can't love your neighbor until you love yourself. Even in the Old Testament, that command was in Deuteronomy, way before even the New Testament when Jesus said it. He was actually quoting it. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, your strength, and your neighbor as yourself. And then that's the golden rule. Well, it's the golden rule because it works. Treat others as you would want to be treated. And when you're tempted to say a negative word, a critical word about somebody, or even thinking a negative thought about somebody, catch yourself and say, you know what? This person is alive, they're struggling, they need support. I'm going to give them a good word, and I'm going to see the good in them and not the evil. And you know, every book, every classical book that we have read, all of us, from Anne of Green Gable, remember Rachel Lynde and her tongue. When little Anne the orphan comes to Marilla's house, Rachel Lynde and her, what she says, you know, she changes and she becomes much more loving and more mature through the book. And then we have in Little Women, remember that Aunt Marsh comes. Whoa, you don't want a tongue lashing. You don't want her to say anything bad to you. She could say everything so well bad. And these kind of people, it's like calling, you have to walk on eggs. Well, everyone knows somebody like this. These people need love too, because I'm telling you, there's a reason they do it. The reason they do it is down deep inside, they don't really know God's love for them. Because I will give you the perfect verse in the Bible. He that receiveth much forgiveness loveth much. And that was, remember the woman that came and broke the bottle of the precious ointment on Jesus's feet and washed his feet with her hair. And the disciples were there. They were being critical of her. They go, that lady, she's wasting money because that was so precious, the ointment. And Jesus rebuked them. He said, no, she has chosen the better part. She was so grateful that she had received the forgiveness of God and his love. She wanted to give everything she had back. Isn't that beautiful? So as we're, taking our summer, we have a couple weeks here, enjoy it with your family. I'm telling you, look at your children and your grandchildren and be grateful. It's easy to look at the half cup, or the half empty cup instead of the half full cup. find something good in these young people and give them good words of encouragement, and in older people, and in everyone. You know, I tell you, there's a great man in history. His name was John Wesley. A lot of you have studied him and heard about him. He was a contemporary in the American Revolution. He was born in 1703 in England. The same year, a man, Jonathan Edwards, was born 1703 in America. And these are great revivalists. They're very, very famous. Well, John Wesley is very terse. He's very well-spoken. He's extremely disciplined. He doesn't waste words. And he helped so many people. He was an organized, his mother was a very well-ordered person, Susanna, and she had trained them and disciplined them. So he was extremely self-disciplined in all of his habits, and he was able to go in when England was in a terrible situation. You've seen the Charles Dickens movies. Now that's Victorian era, where the streets are muddy and the people are poor. Well, that was what it was like also in the 1700s, and maybe even worse. And the people drank gin, and it was a terrible thing because it was destroying families and lives. Kind of like today, a drug comes in and takes away all the money. And so John Wesley went out and he said, "These are my people," and he preached and he gave them hope. And it said of John Wesley that he would walk into squalor and filth and leave behind him beauty and order. And he was definitely a part of the anti-slavery movement. And he was very much involved in that, and knew John Newton, the famous man who wrote Amazing Grace. These are all the same era. Well, John Wesley, the great thing about him was he said, these poor people, they can't drink gin. I have to give them something else. So he started giving them tea, and that's why they called them the teetotalers. And that's where that came from. And actually, it made tea really big in England for the common man. That's where that really started. It's a cold climate. They needed a hot drink, and they did not need gin because that was going to destroy them. Well, I said all that to say this. John Wesley, I love you. His biography is fascinating because he lived to be in his 80s, and he rode a horse. He rode a horse when he was in his 80s. That's the only way he could get around. They didn't have trains in those days. He was called a circuit riding preacher. They would go from town to town. They didn't have enough ministers to cover all the parishes. Well, finally John Wesley was dying in his late 80s. He had gone out to help someone and caught a cold on his horse and came back, and he knew he was dying. And he said, "You know, I have 6 gold pieces." That's all he had to his name. He said, "I want you to go out and find the 6 poorest men in the town and have them carry my coffin and give them each a piece of gold." Because his philosophy was this: every day, give as much as you can to as many people as you can, in as many ways as you can, and the rest will be God's work. The rest, that is God's work. So we're living now in 2023. It's a different world, but it's the same heart. People have need for God's love, kindness and mercy, goodness and grace. So let's make sure our words are good words. And make sure people can count on us. You know, my son, and I say this very humbly because he said, "Mom, one thing I can count on you, you won't say anything bad about anybody." And I thought, wow, thank you, Michael Christian. That is maybe the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. And I pray that will always be true. I want to see the best in everyone. And I want us to help each other to be our best. Yes. We need each other. We're not islands. And tea is the perfect way to bless people. It really is. You can make a pot of tea and have a few friends in and read poetry. Have someone sing a song. Share hearts. But make it the rule at the tea table, only good words, only kind words, only thoughtful words, and the rest will be history. Well, I thank you so much for joining me today, and this has been so very special. And whatever summer outfit you have, make sure you wear it in the next week or two, because suddenly you can feel the cold come, and then we put all of this away, and then we start wearing our autumn things, don't we? Yes. 4 seasons, what a blessing. We all need that variety. Well, I'll show you the little tea tray one more time. And I hope you enjoyed this today. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I would appreciate it so much. And I do love your comments. I appreciate them. And you can push the notification. And if you liked it, the like button and share button. Share it with somebody. It can go anywhere, anytime, any place. Isn't that awesome? We live in such a fabulous season of time, and that's why instead of noticing all the bad things in the world, let's notice the good things. Without this modern technology, I wouldn't be with you right now on the tea table. So we thank God for all the good. Okay, well, have a great week, and whatever you need, I pray God will bless you and help you find it. God bless.